stuff and actually paying attention to who was sending friend requests, because I never knew if it might be someone either that made a great prospect to join the Boaters.com social network, or maybe it was someone that had content that I could share with, and I was always reading through that. With Brad's, we don't really have time, and a lot of this has become spam. But the two main benefits of having all these friends is that then you can send them bulletins and send them emails. But let me just click on one of his videos. Once your video is already sent out, you can click on the share option, send video. Send this video, and see this list right here. These are all the people on Brad's friends list. Or I can send it separately to people outside of YouTube. So I may have friends and family that I want to say, hey, check this out. Now, you might want to, for those purposes, not use the YouTube system, because they're going to get this funky email that says someone from YouTube has sent you an email. But you can do that if you want to. But as far as your contacts go, this is listing all of Brad's friends. So now you can see what one of the advantages is of having a lot of friends.
Now Julie, let me jump in. Okay, so this is a video, and then you can send that video to anybody that you friended, and so anybody on your friends list, you can grab the entire contacts list, and then they will get that video. Now, where will they get that video?
They will get that in their inbox within YouTube, the internal email system.
Okay.
Later I can go over and show you. We don't actually check a lot of Brad's because he just gets so many offers and things. But when I had the Boaters TV, I used to get some very valuable videos sent to me by friends, and I'll show you one of those friends here in a second, someone who really mastered this idea of let's get lots of friends and then send out both bulletins and emails. And because he was exactly what I was looking for, it was a fishing channel, and that fits with boaters and boating-related activities. So I paid attention, and anytime he sent me a video, I went and looked. So it's a really valuable thing, I think, to have. But yes, it is an internal.
Beautiful.
Cool. Okay. The second advantage to having a lot of friends is your ability to send them bulletins. We'll slide over here to the internet. This is the Addictive Fishing YouTube channel. And this guy was the whole reason I even looked into friend adding software. Around about the time that we started doing the Boaters TV, I received a friend request from this guy and went ahead and added him as a friend. I was sort of new to that whole concept. Wow, someone wants to be my friend. Now look down here. This guy has 7,680 friends. And when I tell you that a lot of times the friends will turn around and subscribe to you, look up here and see he's got 1,767 subscribers. That's very impressive. Now, when it comes to bulletins, here's the bulletin space that shows up on your profile here.
Okay, so I'm jumping in here to give you the final change that has occurred since the original webinar, and that is to explain a little bit more about these changes with the bulletins on the YouTube channels. And again, that is that the bulletins will no longer show up on your YouTube channel, so we've cut that portion out of the webinar. But instead, what I want you to know is that that bulletin function, if you were aware of it or have used it in the past, has been replaced by the recent activity feed that I explained earlier in another addendum that I've made. And so the bulletin style updates that some people are used to putting out there will now show up on your YouTube channel if you are displaying that recent activity box. Now, as far as what everyone else has access to, it still is beneficial to you to add as many friends as you can to your YouTube account, because they will have access to the recent activity feed information of your own if they've elected to view it on their YouTube homepage upon login. So I know that sounds a little confusing. Let me show you real quick what I mean. So now here we are over at Brad's channel, and I'm going to scroll down to show you that the bulletins no longer appear on anyone's channel. But if we come back and look at that recent activity feed, that's right here, what you can now do in the way of what you would call posting a bulletin is that you can attach a video and say whatever you want in this text space. So you could say Brad Fallon is watching the greatest ever video of his own or whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it as it was just to show you that I can attach the video here, and I just put the URL for one of Brad's own videos, and then I can post the bulletin. Voila, your bulletin has been posted, and there you go. it has appeared right there on his recent activity feed. Now, as far as what can show up and what cannot show up on your recent activity feed, I said earlier that you are able to control that. To do that, you can go to privacy settings. Also, something that you can get to by clicking on the account tab at the top. And remember, we showed profile setup earlier. It's right down here under privacy. You can control what shows up in your recent activity feed. So, for example, if you don't want to show people what channels you're subscribing to, you can turn that on and off and so forth. Now, what you need to know in addition to this showing up on your recent activity feed on your channel, it will also show up on people's home pages who have elected to view their friend activity feeds. So this is Brad's homepage. This is what he sees when he logs into YouTube. We have it set up so that the box that shows up at top is his subscriptions. These are the most recently uploaded videos of everyone who Brad is subscribed to. Below that, though, we have it set up so that he sees his friend activity. This is just like Facebook, just like Twitter, just like Friend Feed. It's showing you the most recent activity of everyone that you have befriended on that site. So again, the advantage of having lots of friends is that you stand the opportunity to show up on the homepage of your friends when they log in. This is now what we're looking to do instead of the previous idea or act of posting bulletins that showed up on people's channels. This is now where they will see those bulletins. So as you see, somebody has rated a video, they've uploaded a video, they've favorited a video. Now, earlier when I posted that bulletin from Brad saying he was watching a video, that would show up too. So you just then keep your fingers crossed that your friends that you have on YouTube are looking at this friend activity feed when they log in. Now, by the way, to control your own activity feed, back over here where we left off with privacy settings on your own recent activity feed, if you go up to customize homepage, you are able to customize what you see on your homepage. And I believe the default is that friend activities will show up, not necessarily at the top though. So to know how to arrange those on your own, these boxes you can just, if I click this arrow up, that's going to move the friend activity up to the top. So you can do that on your own. You obviously can't control what your friends are going to do. You just keep your fingers crossed and hope that the recent activity feed shows up at the top of their homepage and that they're seeing it. Either way, you need to be using the recent activity feed because, again, these bulletins and all these activities of what you're doing, socializing on YouTube and taking advantage of the social networking aspect of it, are going to show up there on your channel anyway. So we will now go back to the original webinar where I'm just going to go directly into the next chapter, which is on video uploads. Thanks so much.
Okay, so next we're going to talk about video uploads. Now, here's where I am going to say something about content. I know I mentioned at the beginning that I'm kind of leaving that up to you guys to produce the great content. But what I have to say in the area of great content is sure to get your URL in your video. The viewers who are watching your video on YouTube, they can always, of course, look over at your video description or maybe back over at your channel to see your URL and what website to go to. But in the case that this video gets embedded elsewhere on another site somewhere, you want your URL in the actual video. As a matter of fact, one good idea might even to have your video watermarked with the URL down at the bottom. And a lot of people will say, oh, I don't really have the ability to do that. Well, video editing software, for those of you that are on a PC, you've got it free with Microsoft Movie Maker. For those of you on a Mac, you've got iMac. And really all you have to do is once you have your video captured from your phone, camera, camcorder, whatever you're using, you transfer that video from the capture device to your desktop with a USB or FireWire. And any software that may have come with the device will help you do that. And then Movie Maker or iMovie will allow you to not only add your URL, but you can also then, if you want to take the time to figure out, add some effects like titles, credits, transitions, maybe even a soundtrack. But the most important thing is to make sure that you're branding the video with your company name and your site URL. And like I said, a continuous watermark throughout the video is probably one of the most blatant forms of URL promotion. Just make it big enough to get noticed, but not so big that it takes over the video screen. before I go to this next point, I'm just going to show you an example of a watermark we're all familiar with seeing, and that's the Associated Press, the AP. Now, again, like I said, you may kind of annoy people if it's your long domain right there at the bottom, and then they can't really focus. Plus, you'll look like you're definitely advertising something. So one thing that you want to make sure you do is, I say second one down here, keep things subtle. Not so subtle that people who like your video and what it's about can't easily go out and find more information about you, but also you don't want to annoy people and have it be distracting or annoying while they're trying to absorb your content. One good idea is to, instead of using a watermark, simply just use an opening title page that has your URL on it and have your video open up with that. Perhaps even if you're doing that, maybe sometime through the middle, just let the domain for your main site kind of pop up in the middle of the video. And definitely, the most important thing to do is at the end of the video, you want to make sure that you put up a screenshot either of your website or hold just a plain black screen with your URL on it for at least 5 to 10 seconds. So always end with your URL is the idea here. And let me show you 2 examples of that. This is what we used to do at the end of the Boaters TV. For future episodes, visit theboaters.tv. Brad, actually, we've changed this since, but back when he first started, he was just putting the domain up there, but at least we got that part in. It might have been more useful had he maybe said, for more Web 2.0 news, visit freelinereport.com. But definitely hold that maybe for, like I said, 5 to 10 seconds and let it be the last thing your video finishes on, as well as maybe the beginning, maybe in the middle, or just a watermark. But get the URL in there. Now, moving on, we're still in the discussion of video uploads. We spoke earlier about the ideal video length to keep your videos, and that was based on the statistic I got from ComScore, who found that the average length of videos people were consuming across the entire internet was 2.7 minutes. So just to back that up a little further, that SES event in New York, the Universal Search Session, Optimizing for YouTube, that I got from website magazine.com, I found these statistics there and thought I would share. In the study that they did, they said that 52.3% of videos in the all-time most popular category on YouTube were between 3 and 5 minutes long. Also, they said the median length of video clips in their study was 2 minutes. So this is just sort of further evidence to support when I tell you that long videos don't necessarily do well on YouTube. You're best to try to keep things between maybe 2 to 4 minutes, really, or 3 to 5 minutes. And then if you have content that will take longer than that, simply break it up and use the playlist function to stream it all together. Another question that a lot of people are always curious about, and I know I was, based on the fact that I remember getting John Reese's eBay secret product 4 years ago now, and while I was listening to that, one of the tips that he gave was always make sure when you have an auction up on eBay that you end your auction between the hours of 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, well, not necessarily Eastern, in your time zone that you're in. For me, it was Eastern, on Tuesday nights. And how we got to that number, I don't know, but I'm sure that they had statistics and had done studies and figured out that more people are perhaps online on eBay at that time. So if your auction were to end at that moment, you'd have more people apt to see it. So I've always been kind of curious about those things. One thing that I did find in doing the Boaters TV, and again, this all comes from the research they did at the Universal Search Session posted at websitemagazine.com. They said be sure to upload during the week. Videos that were uploaded during the week do better, and I know that from personal experience because our episodes on Fridays always did worse. Wednesdays always did best. Mondays tended to do well, but they really didn't start to pick up until around Tuesday. So during the week is the time. They actually say at this Optimizing YouTube session that they did to plan to upload on a Wednesday or a Thursday. And they also suggest submitting your video between 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. in the time zone where you want it viewed. And again, I'm not sure how they came to this, but I thought I would pass the information along. To me, it sounds, from my own experience, about what you would do. We always posted ours between 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning. On our vlog, we always posted it at midnight, the night before the episode was to come out. So the whole time I was doing the Boaters TV, I was always making sure I was at home between midnight and maybe 2 in the morning just to upload our video to our vlog. But we got it on YouTube between 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning, and I found that we always did do better. So there you go with a good time of day to be posting videos.
You know, Julie, sorry to interrupt again, but they're finding this a lot in the podcast space. We have this thought, this process that we'll, put it up whenever we want. But the fact of the matter is, when things go up around the time that we're most likely to consume stuff, such as lunch and that type of thing, it's going to be at the top of the list. And so it's got a much better chance of getting viewed. And this has gotten so prevalent that Revision 3, now the Internet Television Group, they are now actually releasing, even though it's internet television, watching it when you want, they're actually releasing it at specific times during the week and making that commitment because they just find that so many people log on during lunch, for instance. So they release a lot of stuff at 9 a.m. Pacific because it hits the lunchtime crowd, on the East Coast. But that's a very valid number, and a lot of people are seeing that. I thought I'd point that out.
Interesting. Okay. Also on this video upload page, you'll find that you have this option down here. See right down at the bottom, sharing options. And I just want to cover this quickly because I get so annoyed with people when I go to consume some content on YouTube and they won't let me comment, they won't let me rate it, they won't let me rate the ratings, and I always ask myself, why would somebody do that? This is the nature of the Web 2.0 beast, that people are going to want to rate and comment, and if that's what we want them to do, because it encourages, especially with YouTube, people are finding that the algorithm tends to favor videos that are commented on and videos that are rated. So by not letting people rate or comment on your videos, you're hurting your chances of getting more views. Also, if you're going to be posting the content out there and it's you on it, the reason you don't want comments or voting is because you don't want to have your feelings hurt. Again, like I said, you got to realize that if you're going to go out there in this public forum like this, then be ready to get the rude and mean comments. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a comment on the Voters TV where I've been called a blonde bimbo. If you need to, you can always just go in and delete the comment. Negative comments, though, tend to encourage more comments because someone will usually jump in there to defend you. So don't always look to delete negative comments. But when posting your video, you do have the option to go in and check off these things. The only one that I may recommend doing something different with here is video responses. That means that people are allowed to post a video response to your own video. That's usually a very good thing, but you may just want to set it that you have to approve the videos first, which is something I can't stand because we're always trying to, when other people do it, because we're always trying to post Brad's videos as responses to other videos, and I get very aggravated when I get this notice that says I have to wait to have it approved. I want to know instantly, because if they don't, then I want to move on and try posting it somewhere else. But for you yourself, it may be useful to make sure that you don't get really spammy things that are being responded to. So that's the only one that I would recommend. And you could always approve comments, but again, I say just let the comments go there. You can always go back and delete them later and allow people to vote on comments, allow ratings, allow embeddings, and allow syndication. Now, as far as the description, when you're uploading your video, when you're typing in the video description, this is extremely important. Always begin the description with your URL written in this form, http:// your website. Well, why we want to do this, and let me show you an example here. When you come to one of Brad's videos and you're sitting here watching it, well, when you look over here, the More Information tab is what you have to push to read more description about this particular video. But before you push that, you'll just usually see the top line of what the video description is. So it's by getting your URL right there in the front and using the HTTP, that's going to allow someone without any further action just to click right over and be taken directly to your main website. So you want to get that in there very first thing in the description. Here's another example. Brad's channel, there it is, Freeline Report. The Voters TV, there it is, the Voters TV. Our Google Analytics for the Voters TV shows that YouTube is our second source for traffic coming over to that blog. So I'm sure that it's a lot of people either clicking over from our channel or clicking over from this URL that's in our video description off to the side.
That's awesome.